everyone, and welcome back to Ratchet & Clank Up Your Arsenal, where today we have a pretty special episode, as you may see from the length. You may remember this type of episode. We did it twice in Going Commando. We're going to be collecting 100 of an object for lots of money today, and that means we have a podcast episode. With me today, I have two guests, the same guests as usual, Tactician Geek.
Hello there.
And Whisker Biscuit.
It's been some time.
It has, but we are finally back here on Aquatos, collecting sewer crystals. Before we get to the sewer crystals, though, we do have an extra titanium bolt to pick up for behind one of the hardest hacker puzzles in the game, so we're going to head over to do that, and then we'll get to the sewer crystals. But how's everyone been lately in the last year? Was it 2 years? 1 year? I forget.
Something like that.
Yeah.
It's pretty ironic timing that we're doing this now, because literally this whole week at work, I've been listening to streamers play the Ratchet & Clank series. So, very ironic
Perfect timing. Very perfect timing.
Everyone getting ready for Rift Apart on PC or something?
Oh, that's so exciting.
Probably. I've been watching old VODs of people from like years ago. Back when Rift Apart was like going to be a thing soon for the first time. So
Okay, so like around the time I was streaming it and a few other people I know were streaming it.
Yep.
But yeah, it has been a bit. Things have changed in my life. First of all, the day we're recording this commentary is my 28th birthday.
And happy birthday.
Yay!
I can't believe I made it to 28. God, this hacker puzzle is a nightmare. I've also started, I mentioned this in episode 1, but like I've recently started a gameplay programming internship at Insomniac, which is so cool. I can't say many details. I'm allowed to say that I'm working on Wolverine, and that is it. Do not ask questions.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. I'm surprised I got it. But yeah, we heard a bit from Whisker Biscuit. How have you been, Tactician Geek?
Well, I've been good. I finally got I've finally gotten a job in my chosen field. I'm still on seasonal work though. I've gotta be on that for like a year or so before they'll consider me for permanent positions.
Mm-hmm.
But I already got rehired for the fall, so that's something.
That's very good.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. You are on your way.
Well, that's 3 for 3 for new jobs for all of us, because I started a new job actually just a little over 2 months ago. Enjoying it immensely. I kind of lament the lack of free time because I don't have that anymore, but everything else more than makes up for it. So
you've got the unusual and slightly lucky work schedule, don't you?
As of now, yes.
Yeah.
That's probably going to change here in less than a month. They're going to kind of shift me like one day over. I'm actually looking forward to it because as nice as it is to have full weekends off, I really miss having more than one work day off because it's so much easier to make appointments and set things up in a weekday than on weekends. So
oh, absolutely.
I'm looking forward to being able to do that a lot easier again.
Yeah. But yeah, you're on the 4x10 schedule, which I kind of wish I had that, but I don't think that would work too well for my job.
I used to do that. Like the first season of my job, I was on a 410s schedule.
Mm-hmm. It just sounds... I guess it depends on the job, heavily on the job, but like...
It also depends on not having an hour-long commute.
Yeah.
True. That is very true.
Yes.
For my line of work, and since I get to work from home, that sounds so nice. I wish I had that.
Yeah, it's not great when you gotta wake up at 5 a.m. because you gotta drive an hour to get to work.
I mean,
Oh, yeah.
I don't have that long from commute, but I still have to wake up at 5:30 because my day still starts very early. And that's the only other downside for me, is because I've always been a night owl, and because of this
Yeah.
permanent schedule shift, it doesn't matter how late I go to bed now, like on a weekend, I will still wake up at like 5:30, maybe 6 if I'm really lucky. So it really, really sucks because I don't really have enough time in the evening anymore to do the things that I want to do, especially on work days. So I have to wait till my
Yeah.
weekend.
Yeah, that definitely sounds frustrating. We finally got past that hacker, by the way. That was a rough one. And
Yeah,
I think
the
it's the hardest.
The one actually difficult hacker puzzle in the game.
Yeah, that's a rough one. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and head on to the sewer now. Thankfully, there's a shuttle there from the landing pad, so we can get
Yep.
there easily.
It's
And
almost
then
like
we're
it's almost like this is an area that they intended for you to return to at various points throughout the game.
Also, as the notice is saying, I cannot emphasize enough, you're gonna get motion sick if you can get motion sick. I got
Yeah.
so motion sick in this segment that I started getting a lot more wobbly, which made it worse. So I am so sorry in advance. It's rough.
Yeah,
there's
that-
gonna be
That happens to me every time I do this.
Yeah. There are plenty of times where I'm going to stop and just take a few moments. There's also a point where I eventually am like, screw this, and I go and I get a map off of GameFAQs to help me find all the crystals. Sewer crystals. It
Yeah.
is.
I
Or
I
you
always
could've-
go through this section first, the first time I go through it, to get all the crystals, because you can't get all of them your first go around because you need the grab boots.
Yeah.
But I always do as much as I can the first time around because I don't get the like automatic, walking onto the walls, onto the ceiling bit, and so that does help with the motion sickness initially because you only have like 2 areas where that'll happen if you come back later compared to the entire map.
Yeah. 3, I think. It's half of it's on the ceiling and half of it's on the ground.
You are very right. Thank you.
But yeah. Yeah, that would have been smart, but I wanted to keep it all to like one episode.
Yeah.
And wanted to be able to get it all done at once.
So one good thing about this area that I like is these amoeboid enemies are, for some reason, even on return trips, they are extremely good sources of weapon experience.
It's 'cause
I
there's so
noticed
many of
that.
them.
Like,
Yeah,
in the last time I played through this game, I was trying to train up the Infector, which is, as you know, a extremely difficult weapon to train up.
Yes.
Especially because it's honestly not that good in my personal opinion, or at least it doesn't gel with my play style.
As somebody who likes the turning enemies onto other enemies type of stuff, Infector is easily like the worst weapon in the game for me too. So.
Yeah, it's not a very good one. It's good if your playstyle is I fire at the enemies and then I hide and let them deal with each other. Anyways, here I'm trying to turn off the grab boots so I'm not getting sick. It didn't work.
Yeah, it's not like the previous games where you can kind of, or at least the first game where you can kind of equip or unequip, and even then, like you tend to like get onto them automatically anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I was trying to train up the Infector on the last round of Annihilation Nation. And that very much did not work because they got like no experience. But then I got here and it immediately went from V3 to V5.
Very nice. Very, very nice.
Annihilation Nation works best for experience if you're doing it either the very first time that you go there or the second time that you're supposed to go there to meet Courtney Gears.
Yeah.
Because the second time the game sort of like resets the whole, returning to a planet drops the experience counter for the sake of you having to do it as like a separate like kind of level, and so then it's really easy to grind again during those 2 very specific times.
Yeah. We have not yet in the Let's Play gone to Annihilation Nation the second time, but that is the next episode after this, so. Yeah.
Yeah, there is one exception to this being a good place to train up weapons, and that is the Glove of Doom, because the agents of Doom immediately blow up when they go in the water.
Yeah, I'm gonna learn that here in probably a couple minutes. I ended up only exclusively using them when I'm on the ceiling, in those three areas where you're on the ceiling. I guess to explain like the map of this area, it's kind of like 6 sections, 3 at the north and 3 at the south. And it's kind of like alternating like a checkerboard where bottom left, bottom right, and top middle are all on the ground. And then top left, top right, and bottom middle are on the ceiling. Before this, the first time I went through Aquatos, I did pick up a couple of extra sewer crystals. I think I got 3 or 4 in total, just to give me just enough money that I could buy an armor upgrade, I think it was.
Smart move.
So we only need to collect 97 on this trip to have all 101. Also, why is it 101 and not 100? Who knows?
Because there's the one that you grab on your way into the sewer before you actually get into it properly.
True, I think there's actually 2 that you get before you even get to the sewers. Yeah, I'm remembering 2 specific points where you're with Skid and you get sewer crystals.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's 2.
Yeah. Regardless, this is a very disorienting and irritating place to navigate. And it does not help that the parts where you're on the ceiling have no map.
Yep, even when you have the Map-O-Matic. Or the
Yeah.
No, I'm pretty sure that it does apply there.
Does
okay.
it? I might have to go back and check once I get that.
I'm pretty sure I remember that when you get the Map-O-Matic, it shows where the remaining crystals are, and it
That's
like
right.
puts all like the extra paths like in green, and then it turns like the standard, discolored white once you travel through them, just like any other hidden areas in other levels.
Yeah, that's right. I was wrong. Yeah, I usually wait until after I get the Map-O-Matic to do this, to do the cleanup in here, because honestly the Map-O-Matic, you get it. It's only a few planets after where you currently are.
I think it might be like... So far I've recorded up to episode 15. I think we might get an episode 17. If I'm remembering correctly. But yeah, this is most of the sewer crystals. You fight the amoeboids. Most of the sewer crystals are just on the ground, and a good quarter of them, maybe third, are from bosses, of which there are 2 types of bosses, who are basically identical except for the way they spawn.
Yeah, this area is, I don't know, I feel like with this area I like it better than the tundras. I don't like it as much as the desert.
I think out of all of the collect 100 things for money that we've done so far in the series, I think I like it the least, just because it is so samey. Even with going on the ceiling, the fact that I get motion sick takes away any novelty from that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it also, there's also, the noises the amoeboids make get kind of annoying.
Oh, yeah. So here's a fun little factoid for you. When I was playing this game, I used to play this game a lot as a teenager. I had this game known by the back of my hand. My mother, who was not a very big fan of video games to begin with, would tolerate me playing these games with the volume up, even for Ratchet Clank, which are kind of known noise creators, until I started farming for sewer crystals, because the constant repeated sounds the amoeboids make set her so on edge so fast She was like, if you are going to keep playing that, it is not going to have any sound.
I can't blame her.
Yeah, and in addition to that, also the music, atmospheric, appropriate for the area, not exactly enjoyable to listen to for a long time.
Yeah.
You know, compare that to the desert, which has like the chilled out beat appropriate for the new age mystic.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a lot more that's a lot nicer to listen to for a long period of time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Ironically, this music kind of contributes to this area, kind of making you kind of, I wouldn't say zone out more, but kind of like disengage with what you're playing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that did happen to me a little bit as I was playing. I just kind of zoned the music and almost the game out, which didn't help with the motion sickness when I started randomly walking up the wall.
Yep.
Yeah, okay, here's where I'm gonna learn that the Agents of Doom are not gonna work out very well.
Mm-hmm.
Soon, at least. Okay, I think we got everything in the southwest at this point. So I forget where I decided to go next. I think I went to the bottom middle next, so we're gonna be on the ceiling for a while.
Oh yeah, the other problem this thing does is that because with the gravity boots and the charge boots like to fight each other.
Yeah, I didn't end up using the charge boots. Probably for the best.
I like the charge boots, but they're not extremely useful in up your arsenal, except for some very, very specific levels way down the line.
Or if you're speedrunning.
Yeah, or if you're speedrunning. But if you're just playing the game casually, they're not as useful as, say, like the second game when you have those huge tundras to go, like, crystal searching in. This game, there's only, like, I want to say maybe 2 or so planets that, like, it's useful to use them because the map's big enough for it, but...
Yeah, this game's a lot more linear than the first 2.
But not in such a way that you can just go straight. There's enough bending around and curving. You just don't have that openness to explore with them, which is unfortunate.
There's a very funny glitch that happens in Aquatos if you're playing the game on an emulator, whether that's with a native, usually like with either a native disk or like an actual ROM. I talked to OniLink about it, but I didn't get the chance to show her. For some reason, the game does not like it when you go and visit a Gadgeton vendor. If you pop in, even for it's like just a brief second, you come out and the entire map of like the entire planet, it doesn't matter if you're in the sewers or if you're in like Aquatos proper, everything has been just completely broken down to its basics, I guess. You are in blue land. Outlines are barely visible. Ratchet and Clank both basically disappear. The only thing visible on them is the armor and the weapons, so that's makes it hilarious. And even after you leave the planet, Ratchet and I think sometimes Clank remain invisible until you reload the game entirely. It's
interesting. You didn't mention that part.
It only happens at Aquatos, and it's so funny to me.
Okay, so you saying that actually reminded me of something that happened to me last time I was playing. So I was using a weapon that you get a little bit later that involves enemies moving around a lot. Specifically, all moving into one particular location.
Yes.
I happened to be standing a little too close to that location, and we were right next to the wall. all those enemies flying in pushed me through the wall, and I fell into the infinite abyss.
Incredible. I love it. Yeah, I pick up that weapon 2 episodes from now, and there's a certain aspect of it that reminds me of the absolute funniest part of the Xenoblade games, but you'll see what I mean when we get to it. Yeah, but the Aquatos glitch, I would need to see the glitch in action, like a screenshot or a video, to be able to, like, have a better idea. But, like, my initial assumption, so, like, thinking about what's different about Aquatos specifically, and how that might trigger a bug going in and out of a shop. My best guess is Aquatos has that, like, watery filter over all the glass. And, like, that seems to just kind of be a present global thing. It's not... I'm not sure if it's, like, applied to all of the glass textures specifically, or if it's just, like, a global effect. I feel like it might be easiest to implement it as a global effect. But my guess is that the emulator is doing something wrong when you go out of a shop. Like, you go into the shop and it turns off the water effect. You come out of the shop and it turns it back on. But it, like, I would guess turns it on for everything, including inside, and that obscures the ground? That's my best guess, because, like, that's the one thing unique to Aquatos I can think of that...
Well...
Like,
I'll show it to you later, and maybe, you know, in editing we can put up a picture of, like, what the level looks like.
Yeah, I'm not re-rendering this episode.
No,
I'll put the screenshot in the description if we get it.
It's not so much like water texture that shows up. It is like it feels like the building blocks of the level itself, if that makes sense. Except it's all blue. It like, you can see the most basic outline of stuff. But it's all in, like, this interesting, like, almost fully transparent blue design type, and it feels like going into Gadgeton vendors and coming back out pops you into, like, some of the most basic game code for the entire level.
Very interesting. That does change up what I think it might be a little bit, but I would need to, I would need to see what it looks like to have a firm idea. And even then, like, I'm guessing at game code that is 20 years old and probably doesn't exist. I haven't gone digging for it, nor could I share anything if I did.
And to be fair, like, the Ratchet games have always been notoriously difficult to emulate, both, like, PS2, PS3, like, all the way up. Like, there's been, like, a consistent issue with, like, handling them in a way that makes them even play, like, relatively decently, because a lot of their code was so unique. And obviously, you know, whatever works, but it's a very different situation than, say, like, emulating even, like, the Jak and Daxter games. It is very, very unusual form of coding for these games.
Okay, spitting Hydra in this area, terrible idea. I don't know what I was thinking.
Yeah, with you saying that, I was actually going to start wondering, like, I wonder if maybe, because there's the project of making native ports of the Jak games on PC. Wondering if that project could maybe, like, that same framework could be used to do the same thing with the Ratchet and Clank games, because I know, or I believe the PS2 Ratchet and Clank games were built in either the same or a similar engine to what the Jak and Daxter games were made in.
I think I've heard similar.
I can't remember if it was the Ratchet and Jak games that were made similarly, or if it was the Spyro and Crash games that were made similarly. I know that the studios worked in the same building pretty much, even through, like, the production of these later games. And
I don't think it would have been Spyro and Crash.
That's fair.
The first Spyro, Crash started, like, years before Spyro did. The first Crash game came out in '96. The first Spyro game came out in '98.
Yeah. And like the way they play is just a little bit too different for me to believe that they would be able to share an engine, because Crash is a lot more like linear. Spyro had more of the open world design. Which is funny, because then they flipped with Ratchet and Clank typically being more linear, while Jak and Daxter is the more open design, at least in the first game.
Yeah, I was just about to say, the first Jak game is definitely more open world. The second and third games give the illusion of it, but it is very much pretty linear in that you have like set missions and you have to just travel a seemingly open world to get to them, so it's always a point A to point B.
Yeah. I played the first Jak and Daxter, got 100%. I enjoyed it enough to get 100%, but I'm not interested in playing more.
Yeah. I completely understand, even if Jak 2's gameplay was not a hot mess.
Yeah, thank you again, Tactician Geek, for letting me borrow your copy.
Yeah. That's what I do. I mean, hey, you're more than making it up to me currently.
True! I'm letting you borrow Xenosaga 2 and 3. Sorry about Xenosaga 2's discs being all weird. It happened to me too, and I never got it fixed.
That's fine.
But yeah, I don't know how much... I was not working there at the time. I was a child, and I have not looked for the code now, nor could I share the info if I did. But I would assume, if not sharing the engine, maybe just sharing like bits of code. Like, it wouldn't make sense. Jak and Daxter did a lot with with level streaming, because it was a fairly seamless open world game. I don't remember any seams, at least. Like, that level loading code would have been really valuable to share with other companies, and Insomniac and Naughty Dog were very close friends. I wouldn't be surprised if even just that would have been a lot, but it would have been really helpful and would make a lot of sense.
Yeah, the only areas in Jak and Daxter that I can think of are really loading zones are the underwater city, and then the final boss arena.
So I think at this point we finished the bottom middle, and we're out on the bridge between the north and south now. What am I doing? Why am I... Did I really think I could glide over there?
I mean, it is doable, just not that way.
Yeah, I hardly tried. Oh well, back to the start we go.
Those are some
It's
giant
fine.
barnacles.
I think we're heading up to the north left side, top left now, so ceiling again. In the oh, that might have been what I was doing. I was going back to get ammo refill. There's ammo refills plentiful everywhere else.
It's
Yeah,
like
you were pretty full up on ammo, so I don't think that's what you were doing.
Nah, I was probably just trying to get up to the top left area and screwed up, and figured might as well stock up while I'm there.
Oh, and another thing about getting money from this area is like you can sometimes see your money value flashing, and just from the sheer number of enemies in here, not even just from the crystals, you get a ton of money in here.
Yeah, I think it's like 2,000 per crystal. Is that right?
Yes.
So that's 202,000 bolts for clearing this area out just from the crystals. And then there's a ton of enemies on top of it.
Yeah, this game definitely gives you way more money than you could possibly need. And honestly, all the Ratchet & Clank games from this point forward are the same, where it's like, you really don't need to grind that hard to be able to get all the all the weapons and armor.
I mean,
good, I don't want to grind.
Aside from
yes
New Game
and no.
Plus.
I was gonna say yes and no. In this game, at least, if you don't have save data for the second game, so those weapons that they offer you aren't free.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Though, unlike Going Commando, the weapons here that you can get in previous games are actually worthwhile to get. And so if you don't have that previous save file to give you that little perk, those weapons do get pretty expensive. So I would say that, like, this sucks doing this kind of grind, but it is worthwhile if you want, like, say, some of the late Going Commando weapons that they offer way down the line.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm so glad you can actually level up the Going Commando weapons.
Yeah.
And the Ratchet and Clank 1 weapons that come back. Not that there's that many, but... there's a few, but there's not that many. There's Suck Cannon is the only one I can think of off the top of my head.
Pretty sure that's the only one that... because, well, as far as... I mean, Agents of Doom, technically, too. But...
Yeah.
They're very heavily reworked from how they worked in the first game.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, at this point, I think I was just extremely disoriented, and I think I was pulling up a map on GameFAQs because I'm just like, screw this. This is the worst experience ever. I hate it. But apparently there is someone in this group who enjoys this.
Listen, when you only have, like, maybe a dozen games, and you have entire summers to yourself, with nothing else to do or play, you learn to appreciate, like, the long hauls like this, the long grinds.
Stockholm Syndrome, got it. Like me in Pikmin 2 caves. I love Pikmin 2 caves. Apparently I'm the only one.
Wait, you were allowed to play video games for extended periods of time as a kid?
Only when I didn't have school. When school was in session, I was only allowed to play them on weekends because of one exact incident where I forgot to put my homework in my bag the night before because I had been playing Zelda. And it only happened once, and both me and my younger sister lost our video game during the week privileges until the weekend came around, and she was mad at me for over a year for that one.
Yeah, my parents tried to put up a 1 hour a day limit, but that didn't last. Video games kept me calm, and I was definitely very prone to very aggressive meltdowns when I was younger. It was only getting on extended release Adderall when I finally got that under control. Thank you, emotional regulation issues.
Yeah, no, I never got that. I was stuck with 1 hour a day until like my senior year of high school, where I think my dad finally went to the point of like you do really well in school and you're also kind of a lazy bum anyway, so clearly you should be able to get away with playing more video games than this.
Yeah, I do remember that coming up, that you could only play an hour a day. I remember you talking about that back in high school, which, oh my god, that was so long ago. We're so old.
Yeah, only being able to play for an hour game a day, that's how I got so good at playing games faster. I mean, I don't speed run. I've tried. I can't speed run, but I do get through I am good at getting through games fairly quickly.
You should go to GDQ.
As I said, I don't speed run.
You should go to GDQ anyway.
I mean, ironic.
I don't want to get COVID.
It's funny how our play styles kind of like have affected how we play games even to this day. Like you said, you've gotten better at playing games faster because of like my very limited library as a kid. For all those hours, I got really good at just being a completionist for those games, even the ones with the really BS completionist bits. And so now I still like have that urge to do that even on games that are significantly longer, such as Xenoblade. I remember when I first started playing the first game of that, I think what if you're just kind of going for the main story, what's the hour mark for completing that one?
Probably like
40, 50-ish.
40,
yeah.
50. I heard that, and I heard that it takes usually around 120, 130 hours to go from completionist. I learned this very early on, by the way, and I still decided, no, I'm doing the completionist, because why not?
Yeah.
And I stuck with that for every Xenoblade game I've played since.
Yeah, there were definitely some frustrating moments where I'm like, please, Whiskers, just get to the next story beat. Please, I'm begging you.
I'd be right on the edge of like literally a life-changing like cutscene, and I would spend the next 10 hours, 2 days, doing everything but going to that cutscene mark.
Yeah, I also do completion stuff a lot, but that's something I got into a lot late. Like, I didn't get into that until I was in college, where I ended up in the same situation you were as in a kid, where it's very limited library of games and a whole lot of time to spend with those individual games. And that's how I completed the support log in Fire Emblem Awakening.
I never played the Fire Emblem games.
I have tried. Tactician Geek has tried to get me into them, and I see the appeal. They're just not for me.
That's completely understandable.
You gotta be in a very specific mind space to play Fire Emblem. Like, there are definitely some days where it's like, yeah, no, I don't want to play Fire Emblem today. I'm not in the brain space for this.
Yeah, if I want a tactical game, I'm playing Pikmin, which, whether or not that counts as a tactical game, I think it does. Apparently, some people think it doesn't.
It's real-time strategy. Whether that's different from a tactics game is, is potato.
Yeah. Speaking of, I'm almost ready for another potato harvest. I'm excited. I have a little indoor garden I've been running for about a year now.
Yeah.
And this is going to be my second potato harvest. I first planted potatoes like last September, harvested them in January, replanted in January, and now mid-June, they are about ready to harvest. Actually, my indoor garden is out of control. My cucumber plant, I'm actually kind of worried it might strangle me in my sleep. It's growing really fast, and those vines get really long really quickly, and they wrap around anything. The cucumber has decided that it is using an extension cable for the grow lights. It's wrapping all of its vines around that. It climbed up to the top, and now it is growing horizontally directly towards the window, which is like 5 feet away. That plant is scaring me.
I mean, that's kind of how vine plants work. They climb on everything, trying to get as close as possible as they can to the brightest source of light.
Yeah. I have seen it has like 4 female flowers at this point. I fertilized 1. I need to fertilize the other 3. I saw them the other night. I've also got carrots. I have a couple carrots that I planted. Harvested 1 a few weeks ago. Very good carrot. Got a little bit spindly at the end, but it tasted amazing. Got another carrot that's probably about ready to harvest. I should probably harvest that soon. Got oregano. Harvested that and some basil that I grew and put those in some curry, and it is delicious. Growing some garlic, which grew to like, its stalk is like 2 feet tall. I measured. It's wow. Lettuce is doing amazing. Green onions are really trivial to grow. I've got some broccoli that's not quite forming the flower, but it's overall doing well. My garden is doing really well for being completely indoors.
I'm both incredibly happy for you and incredibly envious of you, because every green thing I've ever tried to keep dies, despite my every efforts. Even the most easy of plants, of flowers, of vegetables, I'm following everything right to a T, and they have no chance, and I do not know what it is.
I ever tell you that I once managed to underwater a cactus?
Oh, an underwater cactus. Please.
Incredible.
Please tell us more.
They don't need a lot of water, but they need more than you would think.
Yeah?
I believe it.
Oh, hey, look, a titanium bolt. The titanium bolt up ahead is at the very, very north center of the map. But there's a path at the north end connecting the top left ceiling area to the top right ceiling area. Titanium bolt's right in the middle of that path, heading west to east.
Yeah, I think there's 2 titanium bolts that are just sitting around this area.
Yeah, the second one we will get closer to the end.
Mm-hmm. Even though you can technically get that one much earlier.
Yeah. But since we got the titanium bolt, I think that means we are about halfway through the area. We're at 44. We need 97. About half.
You're a little
Not
over
quite.
halfway through the video.
Yeah. About 45%, close enough. But yeah, moving on to our 4th area, the top middle. So we did actually miss 1 sewer crystal already. And I don't realize until the very end. It is the one in the far top left. In that area we were just in, the complete top left corner, there is, I believe, a boss that we just missed. And oops! And finding that took another good half hour. And
Yeah.
I recorded this in the morning before work. And thankfully, I had just enough time to find it before work. Just enough time.
Yeah, so another thing that's a problem with this area is with the bosses, specifically the ones that are contained within those slime walls. For a lot of them, they won't break open unless you approach them from one specific side.
Yes.
Yeah, that's really frustrating. I definitely ran into a lot of issues with that specifically.
The sniper rifle. Consistently one of my favorite weapons in any given Ratchet & Clank game.
It's very good in Up Your Arsenal. Also, I think it's hilarious that I shot that crystal from... So, it's a sniper rifle. It makes sense that it happened. But I still think it's funny that I keep shooting these crystals from so far away.
Yeah, it's really funny how in specifically in Up Your Arsenal and the next game, they added a sniper rifle, but they didn't program in weak points on enemies. So instead of being able to shoot enemies in certain points for effective damage, which ones later in the series work like that, instead they just made them ridiculously powerful.
It was like that for Going Commando as well.
I'm down with just a ridiculously powerful sniper rifle.
Well,
I somehow forgot Going Commando had a sniper rifle.
It's not. The level designs aren't really as utilized for that quite as much. There are points like Snivelac that it's very useful for. But my favorite thing about it isn't even the fact that they make them so powerful for sniping. It's that you can hip shoot them and they're still as powerful like that. You don't even have to scope for it. That's the thing that gets me. I love the flux rifle in this game because of how much it saved me just by doing that with those giant robots that just shoot at you and never stop shooting at you.
Great combo I found is the hollow shield, and then use the flux rifle on those. Perfect combination, gets both of them a ton of experience.
I never really used the hollow shield much, except just to level it up. And there was one very specific area very late in the game that I used to do that.
It has... I do not remember it, but we all know the story behind that. I think I've mentioned it in this series, but let's go ahead and talk about that, I guess.
To be very vague about it, it's the penultimate planet.
Okay, yeah, I don't remember enough to know how that goes. I think I remember the planet, but I don't remember the details of... Actually, I don't remember enough.
I know what you're talking about. It just... I know because I think I've used the same strategy. Not often, but I had. So I know what you're talking about.
But yeah, so first time I played this game, back in good old 2020, I think it was. Was it 2020? It was 2020.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it was after I moved into my current apartment, which I am hoping to move out of in the next few weeks, but finding a place to rent has become a nightmare. But, so I was playing this back in 2020. I had just finished going commando, start of the next term of school, and then the most wonderful thing happened. I needed to go to the hospital and get emergency surgery because my gallbladder exploded. It did not literally explode. But my gallbladder had some issues. It had been having issues since I was 16, possibly since I was 9. I can remember an incident as far back as when I was 9, which may or may not have been the gallbladder. Symptoms were similar enough that I think it might have been. But it finally gave up and nearly took my pancreas with it. So I went and got that out, and then I came back and I'm like, you know what? I feel miserable. I am still delirious from like a recent surgery. I'm still recovering. Let's stream this entire game in one sitting.
Yep.
It was an experience, to say the least.
Yeah, I remember that because, since I was in 2020, that was when I was in grad school. Mm-hmm. So I had a whole lot of, I had a very, well, I wouldn't say I had a lot of time on my hands, but I was a very disorganized person at that time.
Oh, I still am, but you know.
I mean, I was gonna say, I say that as though I'm any more organized now. I've had structure imposed upon my life, I should say.
Structure is good when you can get it, or at least I appreciate structure when I can get it.
Structure imposed on me is very good. I have a very hard time imposing my own structure. I can do routine, but beyond that, if I don't have like something that's kind of set for me by other people or by something else, then good luck getting me to be productive in any fashion, because I just will not.
Yeah, I am somewhat the same way. I think I'm a little bit better at imposing structure on myself, but not nearly to the extent that I would like.
I mean, you've been able to keep this Let's Play channel running for years on end. I'd say that's pretty good.
True, but I've also made it routine, and similarly to Whisker's, routine is fairly easy for me. At the very least, it's good for my mental health.
Heck yeah.
I do really like Up Your Arsenal, sewer crystals aside. The story is good. Dr. Nefarious is a great villain. He might actually be the no, what am I saying? He's not the hero. But, like, God, I can't tell if the writing for Dr. Nefarious is fantastic or suddenly, like, really terrible. I can't tell what side it falls on. And I mean, I don't mean terrible as in the writing's terrible. I mean terrible as in, like, I disagree with it on a fundamental level terrible. It's hard for me to tell. There's aspects of Dr. Nefarious I think are legitimately fantastic. I think he is a great person for having sign language in his videos. Good for him! Genuinely, we need more dictators to have sign language.
It's like the I'm a feminist Dr. Eggman thing. Like,
Yes! Yes! Exactly!
Equal opportunity oppressors are always both the funniest and the best kinds of villains.
Huh. Surprised it let you get in from that side.
Yeah, I'm also surprised.
Don't look a gift amoeboid in the mouth.
Don't look an amoeboid in the mouth in general.
That's another thing I really like. I like that they recontextualize the amoeboids on Rilgar as being due to Dr. Nefarious's previous schemes before the first game.
Mm-hmm. Just a random bizarre attack by strange creatures nobody knows about.
Turns out it's just something Captain Quark failed to deal with because he's a coward.
Well,
I mean, the galaxy's greatest hero.
That, and also that was around the same time that he was slumming it with Drek. So
was he slumming it with Drek by the point that Nefarious was doing his thing?
The earliest bits, yeah. Because
okay.
Rilgar, where the amoeboid infestation is happening, when you're encountering him, when you're encountering Nefarious, like in the backstory, is also the planet where Ratchet and Clank meet Quark in person for the very first time, and then he leads you to the planet where he betrays you. So there's some mild timeline wonkiness, but like you can feasibly set a lot of like the interactions that Quark and Nefarious had leading to Nefarious's transformation during that period between when you encounter Quark and he betrays you, and when you encounter him again, to fight him near the end of the first game. Because there is a decent chunk of that game where it's just mostly Ratchet gunning for Quark, but you don't know where he or Drek are, and so you don't actually see much of Quark at all.
Also, careful, I don't think you said too much, but careful. The game has hinted at it, but it's not said it yet.
Gotcha. Trying to be careful, but...
Yeah. I mean, it's been kind of shown, but it's not been explained.
It's been hard to tell with this video specifically, like, where you are story-wise, because if it had been your first time on Aquatos mining for crystals, I would have known exactly where story is, but because you've come back after the Magna Boots, getting the Magna Boots, that can mean several different things,
Fair
for
point.
where you are in some of the optional stuff, or at least
this
optional,
point,
yeah.
At this point, I have done the first 2 vid comics. 2 episodes before this, I went to Obani Gemini for the first time.
Good music.
And then right after that, I went to Rilgar, and then I came here.
Okay. Yeah, I remember you mentioning earlier that you had a mission coming up involving going back to Annihilation Nation, and that just that just clued me in on some of that stuff, because like me, like by the time I had the Magna Boots, then I usually had that mission and a few subsequent ones done by the time I came back to Aquatos to mine, so I think I was running on that timeline in my head, and I apologize.
Nah, you're fine. I don't think you said too much, but just want to be a little bit cautious.
Obani Gemini is probably my favorite level in this game.
It is. I do enjoy it. I really like those little planetoid missions. I can't believe Super Mario Galaxy ripped off Ratchet and Clank.
Yeah.
Have we done that bit in this Let's Play series before, in the Ratchet and Clank series, or was that just on our streams?
I am uncertain. I cannot remember. I think we made a joke about it during one of the commentaries for Going Commandos crystal farming, but I don't remember which one or what the context was.
Alright, just in case to clue people in on the in-joke. As I was streaming through the Ratchet and Clank series for the first time, I kept running into things which like game mechanics or story elements, which there are things in games that came out later that I love a lot that are very similar, either gameplay or story or whatever. And we had a running bit of, I can't believe every other game ripped off Ratchet and Clank, and I never knew until now, because I had never played Ratchet and Clank until now.
I think I might have been the one who actually first said, wow, I can't believe this game X game ripped off Ratchet and Clank.
It is your style of humor. I would not be surprised if it came out of you originally.
It's just funny how often we've been able to make that joke and have it be semi-serious.
Yeah. 66! Alright, we are about 2/3 of the way done.
Alright, we're gonna kill the Jedi.
And we got a rank up for the Agents of Doom, V3.
Yeah, since you were saying that you do like up your arsenal overall, I personally would rank it in probably my top 3 of the Ratchet and Clank series.
Yeah, that seems to be a popular opinion from what I have seen.
Yeah, I'd say it's probably my top one, just overall. I think Crack in Time obviously had a better overall story presentation, but in terms of replayability, I always come back to this one above any other one.
Yeah. Sorry, what were you saying, Tactician?
Yeah, for me, like Crack in Time is my number 1, and then the other game in the top 3 is Rift Apart.
Yeah, those would be my top 3 for sure. I think past that, I think I'd put Deadlocked, the next game after this, as my number 4. And then beyond that, the series is just generally good. Like, they're all tied for 5th.
Yeah, I think I don't really have a 4th place, but I kind of structure it as in one of those tier lists. And it's top number 1 is Crack in Time. Tier below that is Up Your Arsenal and Rift Apart.
Yeah.
Tier below that is Going Commando, Deadlocked, and Tools of Destruction.
I would put, personally, I put Into the Nexus above Tools.
I haven't played Into the Nexus.
Fair enough, okay. I'd go back and forth whether I like Deadlocked or Nexus more. It's been a long time since I played Nexus, so I'd have to replay it to really tell you now. But I think the real thing going against Nexus is how short it was. But it makes up for it by being a very stellar.
Sorry for interrupting. I'm so sorry for interrupting, but nice.
Nice.
Continue.
I think that's 59 though.
No, that's 69.
Is it?
No, I think it's 59.
I have my eyes glued to the screen, and it is definitely 69.
No, that's a 5.
Well, we'll
Alright,
find out
watch.
here. Oh, maybe not. I was about to say we'll find out here when you get health, but maybe you didn't get health.
Oh no, I'm not talking about the health. I'm not talking about the health.
Oh, okay. We were looking at your health bar.
We wrote. It's very funny how that happened.
Lots of 9s on screen. No. I'm talking about the crystals. We got 69 crystals.
You were very right. That is very much a nice.
Yep. Yeah. Sorry for doubting you.
We'll get to the nice health eventually. Gosh, I'm pretty sure this is. I would not consider this halfway through the game. I would consider this just short of halfway through the game.
Yeah, that's about right.
I'd
consider the Annihilation Nation revisit about halfway through the game.
Yeah, I was about to say, because like I was about to disagree, and then I remembered that you haven't done that whole section yet, and so then I was like, oh, never mind. Yeah.
Annihilation Nation second visit. I guess that's fair. I would say like the boss fight not too long after that is what I would say is halfway, but
I think it's a little bit over. I do remember I like counted like the planets and levels once when I was younger out of boredom, and I do think that like if like once you've done everything else up to that point, then it is a little bit over halfway.
Yeah.
But it's very close.
Point is, about halfway through the game, well over 50% of the max health. 59, probably gonna be higher by the end of this.
Yeah, I mean,
still got 20 minutes.
That's the other fun thing about like grinding or doing like a lot of arena stuff is that they will like bump you up in that way. Really helpful.
I really like this game's version of arenas. Like, Going Commando's arenas were great. Honestly, no, they're honestly on par with each other. I don't think Up Your Arsenal or Going Commando has better or worse arenas, but I like the challenges in Up Your Arsenal's arenas a lot.
Going Commando's arenas had better set pieces, especially in the second arena. Because a lot of the gimmicks was you get flown up into like a little gravity tube, and that was very fun. But this game's the arena's whole thing was like the gimmicks in it, and that made it very fun.
Yeah. Counterpoint against Going Commando, the ultimate challenge kept crashing on me.
Oh,
I was gonna mention that.
Yeah, I had to do that so many times because it just kept crashing. It was so frustrating. The Annihilation Nation this time has its own unique bug that I keep running into, but I think it's specifically a hardware issue. It'll show up in the next episode when we go back to Annihilation Nation. But I had an issue with the game forgetting that it has a controller and then later a memory card plugged in. I think that's a hardware issue. I'm worried. Either way, it sucked.
But anyway, getting back to the tier list, beneath Going Commando, Deadlocked, and Tools of Destruction, I put the first game, and it's kind of in its own spot. And then the actually bad Ratchet and Clank games are Size Matters and Secret Agent Clank. And then I haven't played any of the others.
Secret Agent Clank deserves a better video game.
Secret Agent Clank has good ideas, and it has one specific really funny moment.
Yeah, I have not played it yet. I have watched the playthrough, and it looks frustrating at times, I'll say. But
Yeah.
watching a playthrough is not the same as playing it. At some point, I should play it myself to have a fair opinion. But yeah, speaking of the first game, I still really appreciate how that game was really good at, like, encouraging you to use all of your weapons in different situations. All of the weapons had their purpose at various points throughout the game. Going Commando did not have that nearly as much, and I would say that's actually in large part because it was only one upgrade for each weapon, which gave a very strong pressure against continuing to use the same weapon, since, especially if you want to upgrade all of the weapons at some point. With Up Your Arsenal, since it's 5 levels per weapon, you keep getting those upgrades coming in, and you keep having, like, you don't have that pressure against using your weapons. But also, like, the weapon variety is just really good in this game. Every weapon I have been finding has some purpose. Maybe it's not widely used throughout the game, but a lot of the weapons I keep finding new uses for, even if it's an early game weapon that has possibly been outclassed.
Yeah, that was definitely one of my favorite things about the first game, is that the weapons are just as much tools as they are used for combat. And yeah, that is something that kind of is used less often the further you go through the series. Like the comparison I like to make is that the first game is almost a 3D Metroidvania.
Yeah, I can see that.
Like, you know, to go back to the joke, I can't believe Metroid Prime ripped off Ratchet and Clank.
Okay, which actually came out first? Also, around this point, I'm starting to look for how to get to the second titanium bolt down in the sewers. You can access it from these bridges, but I think we have to get to a different bridge first. We need to get one over, I believe. And that's where we're heading now, it looks like.
The first Ratchet and Clank by 6 months.
6 months!
Wow.
Yeah, that's clearly enough time for Metroid Prime to rip off Ratchet and Clank.
Yeah.
What was I doing at this point? Was I going back for ammo?
Or just wandering around lost.
It's possible I was lost. I'm pretty sure I was trying to get to the other titanium bolt. Oh, okay, yeah, I was just trying to get to this bridge. That makes sense. Yeah,
right.
coming over to this bridge, the second from the last, very top level. There's those hypershot targets. I wonder what that glowy thing in the middle of them is. Oh, hey, look, a titanium bolt. So yeah, that should be all of the titanium bolts for Aquatos.
I do find it kind of funny how they went from gold bolts to platinum bolts, which I think platinum is more valuable than gold, and then went to titanium bolts.
Titanium, I imagine, would be the most practical of the three metals.
Probably.
Gold is basically useless for, like, crafting anything. That's not, like, it's good for its conductive properties and for looking pretty, but it is way too soft to be useful as, like, armor or weapons.
I think platinum might be kind of brittle. Because I know platinum is a lot harder.
I haven't even traded in the crystals yet, and I have 147,000 bolts.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, near the beginning of the video, I noted you had already gotten up to 100,000 bolts. So just from fighting enemies alone, you have earned almost 50,000 bolts.
Very nice. Yeah, great place to get tons and tons and tons of money.
Yeah, and again, you haven't even done the second half of Annihilation Nation yet.
Which will give even more money.
It is very funny to do all of Annihilation Nation when you first get there, because you know, some of that stuff is very much intended to be end game or post game stuff.
You actually cannot do all of it on your first trip. The back half is locked behind story progress.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. Yeah, there is stuff that unlocks as you go along.
Yeah, but I think once you get to the in-story second visit, so where we're at now in the story, that's when the rest of it unlocks.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, yeah, that's what I was talking about. Yeah, the second half of Annihilation Nation.
Oh, I thought you said first visit.
No.
Oh my gosh, my brain not working apparently.
You're not even playing the level right now and it's still getting to you.
Yeah, I mean, we've been going for 66 minutes.
Oh, damn.
But I mean, there are also some challenges in the second half that are locked behind getting certain weapons which are not available the first time you get there.
Yeah, I wasn't able to do those. You'll see which ones I don't do when we get to that episode next time, but I do almost everything that's remaining in Annihilation Nation. There's one thing that was available that I chose not to do yet.
Yeah.
I know
Speaking of challenges that you choose not to do, some of the New Game Plus exclusive challenges in at Maktar Resort in Going Commando. having to beat Chainblade with just the wrench and also not getting hit once. I gave up on that.
Does that give a skill point? If it gives a skill point, I did that.
I don't think it gives anything. It doesn't even give a good amount of bolts.
I'm pretty sure the skill point was for beating the B2 brawler without getting hit.
Okay.
Chainblade specifically was like beat him with only the wrench without getting hit. Like it was a legitimate challenge. But the brawler was kind of a BS enemy because its range was so wide.
Yeah.
So that's kind of why they gave that one the skill point.
Yeah. I think I want to say Chainblade did have beat with only the wrench as a skill point, but I could be misremembering.
Yeah, that was a skill point, but there was also a New Game Plus exclusive challenge within, like an actual arena challenge that was like 8 rounds of combat and then fight Chainblade with just the wrench, and also you couldn't get hit.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds a lot. Yeah. Yeah, if it gave skill points or bolts, platinum bolts, then I did it. If it did not, then and it was New Game Plus, then I probably did not do it. And I'll probably do similar for this game. I will definitely do New Game Plus, but what I cover will basically be finishing up the, quote, main collectibles, so the trophy skill points.
And the
titanium
weapons.
bolts, and the weapons. I think finishing the weapons does give a skill point and a trophy, so...
I do not envy you getting the skill points in this game. This game specifically.
Yeah. Some of them.
In my experience, because I did them last time. I went through. It's like I feel like I remember they weren't exactly hard to do, except for the Path of Death one, which
Really?
by the way, congrats on doing that on your first try.
Yeah, first try, no deaths.
But anyway, yeah, I didn't think they were very hard. It was mostly just kind of obtuse to figure out what you were supposed to do.
I have this blessed thing called the internet to help.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've gotten all the skill points in Going Commando and the first game multiple times, but like even for as much as I love this game in particular, and how many times I've replayed it, I think I can count off the top of my head. I've only ever gotten all the skill points in it like 2 or 3 times. Because it was.
Oh yeah, there's also the VidComic speedruns. Those ones are hard.
That right there is why.
Yeah. The first VidComic was pretty tough, I think. When I was practicing, I was able to get to like 0.8 seconds slower than the time you need for the skill point. And then I learned about wall jumping up the elevator.
Yeah, I think it's like the first one and the fourth one are the hardest.
Yes.
Oh goody, I can't wait for the fourth one then.
Just because the fourth one is really long.
I'll probably be able to get it without too much issue. I'm getting the hang of the Quark VidComic controls, so... But also, I imagine it's going to be a rough hour or so of practice before I'm ready to record it.
Mm-hmm.
I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you. Alright, we're at 93. We've got 4 left. It's the final countdown.
So close.
Yeah, I usually wait until after I get the mathematic to do this. But props to you for doing it before then.
Yeah, seriously.
I mean, I still use the map off the internet, so not that many props, but I'll take the praise anyway.
And then you got nuts like me who not only do it without the mathematic, who goes the first pass for them the first round, and then the second pass as soon as I get the Magna Boots, and I enjoy it.
Judging you.
Yes, thank you. Honestly, I've talked to a friend about this before. It's kind of a miracle I didn't end up becoming a speedrunner of this game in particular, because I played it so much as like a teen. This and the Sly series, I played but I played this game so much as a kid, and I think the only reason I didn't become a speedrunner of it is because I didn't know that was a thing you could do. Like, I didn't become aware of speedrunning as like a form of like art, or even like a thing that people did until like well into college. If I had known that people did that, like both as a hobby and like professionally in high school, I would have jumped right on it. I have no doubt that I would have been right up there with Zim on this game.
Have you considered getting into it now?
I did. I have thought about it within the last year or so, but I have been so busy, and there's so many other like specifically creative things that I would rather spend my time doing, like, you know, such as writing.
Yeah.
And you know, like more personal stuff. I wanna learn how to draw. I wanna learn how to do this and that, and those are things that I feel like would be more satisfying to me personally in the long run than learning to speedrun this game. Although it's definitely something I would probably be willing to try it out as a hobby thing. Never professionally. But maybe someday. But there's just other things that I want to use my very limited time for right now more than that.
Yeah, that's fair. If you ever do speedrun this game, I will shill you relentlessly and also watch.
Well, thank you.
Okay, at that point we got the last one, I believe, and I just had no idea where we got the second to last one, and I just had no idea where the last one was. It's way up in the northwest corner. I realized I had found it as soon as I found all the amoeboids just showing up. But yeah, with the last crystal coming our way, I believe at this point we're just gonna head back. We are going to hand them in, and then we're gonna buy a whole bunch of stuff that we can afford with our ungodly amounts of cash.
fat stacks.
Yeah. So, thank the both of you very much for joining us. It has been very fun to do this with you. We still got like a minute or two left, but we've got a cutscene in the middle of that, so.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and start doing outros.
Yeah.
Starting with reverse order of how I introduced. So Whisker Biscuit first, then Tactician after the cutscene.
Thanks for having me. It was very fun like always. Hope to do it again someday. And thanks again for just giving so much time and dedication.
That's the last
It's alright.
Now I can finally make my wife that sewer crystal necklace she's always wanted.
Say, what are sewer crystals exactly?
Oh, trust me, it's better you don't know. Well, boys, I'll be seeing you one of these days.
Collecting a lot of an item and then it being revealed at the end that it's all just poop. I can't believe
Oh my
Breath of the
God.
Wild ripped off Ratchet and Clank.
Oh my god. But we got about a minute, so let's go quick.
Yeah, but thanks for giving so much care and attention to these games that I love so much. It really means a lot.
Yeah, thank you both for getting me into them. Alright, Tactician Geek, you're up.
All right, yeah. So, thanks for having me as well. And I'm glad that you got into these games and enjoyed them. And I'll see. I guess you'll hear from me again in Tools of Destruction for the Meteor cast or whatever.
Yeah, I guess. But yeah, that's going to be about it for today. Thank you everyone so much for joining us for this over an hour long podcast. I'll see everyone next time as we take on more Annihilation Nation.